Folks, welcome back. I want to take a look at what May 2025 is going to hold for the USA Collective. It doesn't matter whether you're a citizen or a legal resident or a green card, or if you're here without documents. It doesn't matter. Anybody living in the United States is covered by this particular reading. I'm going to be using the Wildwood Tarot to take a look at the energies surrounding May 2025. Something to be aware of is that Venus has just entered, if I'm not mistaken, Aries. So this is the warrior queen who's not afraid to go to war, to protect herself, to protect the people who are most valuable to her in her life, for instance, her family. But also, we've got Saturn going into Aries, and this is going to be major energy for a lot of people. This is going to be the start of a lot of people's Saturn returns. But we're also going to be rocking back and forth between Saturn and Pisces and Saturn and Aries over the next couple of months. So keep that in mind. We've got a lot of fluctuating energy between the old energies of earth and water, and coming in this year we have the sweeping, purifying energies of air and fire, and that's going to be a heavy load for a lot of people, and you're going to start to see those energies really pick up and start to hit people, I suspect, this month in May 2025. We started to see those factors, those stages being set over February, March, and April, and now we're firmly in May. I'm filming this. I'm looking at the date. I'm filming this on May 4th. Okay, May the 4th be with you. So here we go. There are no reversals for me personally with this particular reading with the Wildwood Tarot. Other readers may be able to use reversals, not for this reading. I shuffle until Spirit asks me to stop, and then after that we'll listen to the message. Spirit says that's perfect, and also to be aware that I'm not allowed to see, and a lot of other psychics and mediums and tarot readers may not be allowed to see everything that's going to be happening this particular month. For some people, it's going to be about protecting their emotional energy. A lot of people in this particular community have been through a number of traumatic events in their lives, and if they were to see what were to come, it's possible that they would attempt to leave this mortal coil too early. It's possible that we're not allowed to see entirely the full picture, because if the wrong person were to hear the wrong thing might happen, in the universe needs specific things to happen this particular month in order for a new golden future to come rushing in. Okay, just be aware of this. If something out of left field happens that no psychic, myself included, predicted, then let it go, because this is Pluto in Aquarius, and Aquarius is all about black swan events coming out of nowhere that no one could have predicted, specifically because the universe, our guides, our ancestors, our spirit guides, this needs to happen. And they need us to walk into a situation with one eye closed. I hope that makes sense, okay? Interestingly, from the bottom of the deck, we have 7 of Vessels mourning. This would be the 7 of Cups in the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith. So with the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith, that is about having the option to make a choice. And hopefully you pick the highest quality one that's in alignment with your best and your highest good. But with the Wildwood Tarot, this is a different story. The choice has already been made, and now we have no option but to mourn the choice that was made in the past and the fallout the aftermath that we have no option but to navigate. What is it? I'm getting like the sticks have been thrown up in the air and they have fallen on the ground, and now they are laid in their places. They have to be there. They tell the story, and there's no option but to accept it or avoid it. And a lot of people are going to choose to avoid it starting this particular month, even though I suspect the consequences are going to be... We're going to start to feel the consequences. The USA Collective will start to feel the consequences. And yet there's still the card of hope that this is the foundation of something new here. This is the foundation of life. This is grieving a past choice, but this past choice starts the foundation for something new. Now it's going to be up to us to decide whether that something new is going to be towards our best and our highest good or not. Because Pluto is in Aquarius, it emphasizes the choices of the collective as opposed to being constricted by the choices of the authoritarian structures, the oppressive structures above us, symbolized with Pluto and Capricorn, which we are still currently in the shadow of until January 2026. Okay, so keep that in mind. But there's the start of something new here. I'm laying the cards out in a 3x3. Okay, a 4x4 spread is what Spirit says. Needs more this month, needs more information. We have the Page of Bows, the stoat. If you've ever seen a stoat hunting, they're adorable little guys. They really are, and they jump around and spring around and fling themselves around all over the place. It looks like getting their predator. They're adorable little things, but make no mistake, they are fierce, aggressive, not to be taken lightly little aggressors, if you will. If you want to look at frogs and that kind of thing as prey from the stoat's perspective, maybe you enjoy frogs. But this is about taking action, no matter how small you may feel. There's something for you to do to bring about this new golden future. And in fact, you may have some kind of role in this golden new future. Because you started early in this particular morning phase, you started to say, okay, now that we're faced with this scenario, what can we do to face this head on? If you're this kind of person, fantastic. Your community needs you. You need to speak up. And it's not just speaking up. This is about planning. It's about planning. It's about taking action. But especially with the Page of Bows, the page is about planning, not necessarily taking action first. Maybe taking small baby steps towards taking bigger steps. But this is definitely about starting someplace, because the events of this particular month start something new, for better and or for worse, for everybody in the United States. And for everybody who was tightly connected to the United States, unfortunately. That means places like Canada, like Australia, like Mexico, for instance. There are a bunch of countries that are going to be heavily affected, like the UK, for instance, as well. It's the natural effect of the United States switching over to a Christo-fascist dictatorship. We just have to be honest with this. Okay? We've got the Three of Bows, more fiery energy, something that I would expect to see out of such a fiery month and year. We've got still a lot of energy going through Pisces, but transiting into Aries at the same time. There are a number of planets that are finishing their old zodiac cycle in Pisces, in the 12th house, so to speak, and starting off their new journey in the first house in Aries. So Three of Bows fulfillment. Even though we're starting a new journey, we're still reaping the consequences of the past. And we're going to need to welcome these results head on, as painful as they may be, as genuinely as much hardship as this brings in. This is going to solidify a lot of people's roles and cause them to grow in ways that they didn't expect. You need to welcome in and let go. Let go of the past. Welcome in the future. The negative consequences will shake out on their own. The universe is guiding them to shake them out. I hope that makes sense. When I'm doing this, I'm visualizing some like dirty water being shaken out of a like a system, for instance, like you can see it. I don't know. I'm not making any sense. I'm visualizing something, but the dirty water, so to speak, is being flushed away, and now we're getting clean water that everybody can enjoy and swim in, if you want to take it that far, okay? We've got more page energy here. This is the Page of Stones. This is the Lynx, and a small and yet another aggressive particular creature when it needs to be. Heavy, too. For a lot of people, this is about small-mindedness and striking out at people that don't deserve it, because those people need to release some degree of aggression. You need to be cautious around those kinds of people. This is not the first time at all that Spirit has given us this particular warning, or with this particular deck. We've gotten with other decks that we need to be cautious of people who are emotionally, spiritually, and mentally young, who are going to be likely lashing out at people around them because they are in such a state of despair and panic and anger and betrayal. They're going to be feeling so many emotions they won't know what to do with all of it. And so they're going to be lashing out at people who they perceive to be weak, and you need to be cautious of their destruction, is what I'm getting from this. That's going to compound the mourning. Is these people who are stuck in a certain way of doing things, what you would associate with stones, with pentacles energy, in fact. They're stuck in a certain way of doing things they don't want to change, and fire and air is all about change and burning away the past. Additionally, if you take a look at numerology, this is a 9-year. This is sweeping away the old. Additionally, we have a bunch of planets who are finishing one zodiac cycle and starting a new one. Additionally, this is the year of the snake, shedding the old and growing up into a bigger snake that can do more things. This is going to be really, really hard for a lot of people. And I've got this feeling before when I was pre-gaming the reading, there are a lot of people who are not going to want to stay on this mortal coil anymore. You are going to see, if you haven't already seen, a jump in suicide rates. Starting this month, I wonder if it's not possible that there's the risk of suicide rates precipitously jumping from month to month, because things get so bad so fast that people aren't able to adjust, and it hits everybody. And we've been told by Spirit before in previous videos, for previous months when we've been looking at months and the energy up ahead, that even like the doomsday preparedness kinds of folks are not going to be 100% prepared for what the United States Collective has ahead for it. Specifically, the USA doomsday people are not ready completely and totally. This is going to catch everybody by surprise, top to bottom. I feel like a lot of rich people are going to head out. A lot of VIPs are going to head out and possibly roll over to Canada. Okay? We've got the Two of Vessels. This is the time to attract the type of people. I got Spirit Tribe. The people that you were meant to be. I'm getting emotional. These are people that you're really meant to be with. I mean, seriously, this is well past romantic attraction. This is, we are meant to build a foundation for a beautiful new society together that values people and doesn't expect people to serve algorithms or machines. You know, in my personal opinion, I used to be a teacher. I used to teach literature from the Industrial Revolution, and progressing into the contemporary period, and you can see how through the literature people first started serving machines once they really started to take hold during the Industrial Revolution, during the last Pluto in Aquarius, by the way. You can start to see how society shifted to serve the machine, and lately, over the past few decades, it's become a shift to serve algorithms, to serve a different kind of machine. It's to serve the computer. We're not made to serve inanimate objects that have no souls. We're meant to build a society that flows. Machines and algorithms are meant to serve us, not the other way around. We can create a society, and that's not going to be the case for all of us, because I do feel like this is going to dramatically, what Pluto in Aquarius is going to do is it's going to dramatically fracture society, and it's going to be like different realities. For some people, I'm getting like this nature habitat for people to coexist together with robots and algorithms that flow together with, and I'm not talking about next year. I'm talking in like the 2030s and 2040s and 50s, okay? This is not happening tomorrow, but I'm envisioning that those kinds of end results looking like that in the distant-ish future, okay? But what happens now is that distant-ish future starts here with attracting your soul tribe, that on a very fundamental, emotional, molecular, spiritual, mental level, who you get and they get you. Y'all flow together. It doesn't mean that y'all's lives are perfect, y'all's relationships are perfect, romantic, best friend, chosen family, it really doesn't matter. We're not looking for perfection, we're looking for vibes, no matter what. Even when a disagreement happens, is the vibe still there? And if the answer is yes, stick around those people. You are meant to grow together with those people. This is so interesting. Spirit is bringing to mind the Osho Zen 2 of... Is it the 2? I think it is the 2 of water with the Osho Zen. I'll put a picture up on the screen in post-production, okay? But that's about friendliness. This has nothing to do with romanticism, necessarily. It can, but it doesn't have to. Look at that heart on fire. These two entities are saying we get each other and we have something incredible to contribute to each other's lives. In this lifetime and in next lifetime. I'm talking about soul tribes. Twin flames means more than just romantic connections. This means people that you were meant to work with over lifetimes towards each other's best and highest good, towards your community's best and your highest good. A lot going on with this month, and I'm definitely vibrating differently. I'm experiencing the beginning of my solar return this particular month. So I'm rattled, is I think a good way to put it, to be quite frank. Okay. I don't know that that's a bad thing necessarily. In the Beltane 2025 video that I just put out, Spirit specifically described this particular time as being one of great and heavy spiritual warfare on both sides of the veil. I am trying to remind myself to take that seriously, and this is a good time to remind yourself to also take that seriously. I'm trying to avoid heavy workouts, for instance. I'm still doing workouts, but I'm not doing high intensity stuff, for instance. I'm trying to gently move my muscles and get them to stretch. I'm trying to do everything gently these days, because I think it's a good time for a lot of mortals to lay low while our ancestors, while our guides do a lot of the heavy lifting this particular month. Take it as it resonates. That may not be the advice that your spirit guides give you. Your spirit guides may be asking you, it's time to get to work, taking baby steps towards growing something, towards welcoming in the future that you want to see. to be the change that you want to see in the world. It's going to be different for everybody. Expect that. It's Pluto and Aquarius. Every individual is going to be different. Expect that. Boredom. Anything but. If you were bored before, you're not going to be bored. You're not going to be bored. If you were tapping, I've seen some Reddit posts on some like astrology subreddits about what was so special about March, what was so special about April, and a lot of the more experienced astrologers are saying, well, pay attention to what happened in the news. Pay close attention to what happened in the news. There's a lot of stuff that flew under the radar because not too many mainstream news outlets reported on it. But there's a lot of stuff that set things into motion in alliance with what was going on with the stars and planets and asteroids as well. We're not going to have to be bored anymore. Have to be. No one's going to be able to afford to be bored anymore. Everyone's going to have to start taking baby steps towards securing stability once again. Stability's going to be lost. This is the I'm getting like this is the pre-stage before the 5 of vessels, where those vessels are spilled over, and it's a grieving process. A grieving process. Not the 5 of vessels, the 7 of vessels. Mourning. This is going to be mourning a past that we no longer have access to. It's not coming back. The choices were made. The cups have been spilled. The wine is on the ground. We can't get it back up. This is normally, in the Rider-Waite-Smith, this is the Judgment card. This is the Great Bear. This is a polar bear indicating that it's time for you to, for a time, enter this tomb in order to come out a different person on a whole different spiritual level. You've got either the Little Dipper or the Big Dipper right up here. Sorry for my shitty camera. It's a beautiful picture. But it's all about this emotional energy of coming out a new person entirely. You feel a different person, so you flow differently. You feel love. You feel compassion differently. This is also about the Northern Lights. In this case, this is about spiritual downloads, spiritual mental adjustment from the heavens, so to speak, from the ether, from the universe. It is an entirely... Do any of y'all play Zelda? Okay. Y'all remember from Breath of the Wild how you start the game in like that particular shrine, I don't even remember what it's called. I'll put it in post-production. But I'm getting that kind of image. For some of you, what you're welcoming in is going to put you in a state where you're going to have to be regenerated, so to speak, in your own kind of not literal shrine. Like you're going to have to take a step back in a spiritual retreat after you really take in what's happening this month. And these are the results that you have to work with. We absolutely go through the grieving process, and that might be something that you start with in this particular shrine of your very own. It's going to be very different for everybody, but no way in hell are people going to be bored this particular month. This is going to be a rough start to a rough series of years that a lot of people are not going to want to survive. They're not going to want to get through. Please don't let that be you. Okay? Please reach out to someone that you love, that you trust. We have here the Fool. In the Wildwood, it's called the Wanderer. This is someone who is, I believe it's like described as pangender, all genders. Not meant to be a particular gender, but is meant to show how this wanderer is choosing to ignore the fear of falling off this particular cliff and is choosing to cross this rainbow bridge towards a new future. So they're not stacked up on top of each other. but they follow one another. Two major arcana cards. Once you enter this particular cave, that's it. You're not going to be able to turn back. You're not going to want to be the old you before you entered this particular shrine and came out of it a whole different person. And the same goes for the United States Collective. It's not just the individuals watching this particular video. We're not going to be bored. We're going to be forced to up-level. This is about the United States Collective being forced to isolate from other societies, other cultures around them. And whether they like it or not, this is the start to a whole new journey. Whether the United States likes this or not. And Fool energy is also that kind of very youthful energy that I would associate with a nation that is around 250-ish years old, especially compared to so many other nations that are considerably older than the United States. This is the start to a new journey. The path has been decided. It's not going to be easy at all, but the choice has been made. And a lot of people who, I described earlier about people who are not going to take all these changes easily. They may take them violently. Even they may lash out. That doesn't matter. Everybody gets swept along. And even the people who you would think would be the most stubborn, who would be the most resistant to change, mountain men, so to speak, are going to be forced to change. There will be no other option. Starting this month, it changes. The responsibility is going to be so heavy. Walking this journey alone, isolated, is going to be so heavy on so many people's shoulders. And that's why we, most especially the people watching this video, myself included, need to sync up with people who get us, to make the burden of existing in this new society, this new reality, easier. Together we can head towards home, because that's ultimately what the 10 of Bows is about. He's headed towards home. He's bringing wood to this bonfire here in the background. He's going home. We can establish a home that works wonderfully for ourselves and anyone who is vulnerable, who might be young. We don't have to have children in order to build a place that works well for ourselves, for the people around us, as well as for future generations. Blessed are those who plant trees, the shade of which they will never enjoy. Can we embody that, especially with that tree energy that we associate with the Wildwood? Can we together, this generation who's going through a real shit show, who's going to be forced to go through a real shit show, can we bear the burden so that future generations can have a fantastic foundation where they don't have to worry about the stuff that we were forced to go through, that we will be forced to go through? I'm talking about multiple timelines at this particular point. The energies this particular month, I said in the Beltane 2025 video that a whole bunch of portals are being opened up. The energy is just insane. I am tired. I feel like I've been clobbered over the head. I'm pulling from the top, continuing to pull from the top. This is the 6 of Arrows. Transition. We have no choice. We have a responsibility to transition into a new way of doing things towards our best and our highest good. We have no choice. It's the end of an old era. It's the start of a new one this month. And to be fair, I would kind of expect to see that with Saturn and Aries transiting this particular month. Saturn is all about constriction, restriction, about that extra strict teacher that we always hated in school, about that drill sergeant kind of energy. And you're getting that energy on the youngest member of the zodiac cycle, Aries. Okay? So those people who are emotionally young, who lash out violently, who use brute force to get their way. When things don't first work, they use brute force to make things happen. Those people are going to get a real check. But expect those same people once again to lash out because they don't want to be contained. This can go both ways. Best and highest good, as well as worst possible, and everything in between. Gray areas, okay? If you want to position the cards like that to tell a story, okay? We're not going to be bored anymore. We're going to be forced to take action. And what kind of action we choose to take is going to be entirely up to the individual. But no matter what, everybody's going to be forced to transition into a new way of doing things. Now, the Swan boat is associated with this particular deck with the Queen of Swords, because the Swan is associated with the Queen of Swords with this particular deck. So this is about using emotional intelligence, but also using our mental maturity to navigate what we've got coming ahead of us. And that's to the collective that wants to design a society that is kind, feels like a nest to people, and isn't pressuring them and shoving them into credentials and degrees and jobs and resumes and CVs and networks and housings and bills and taxes and this and that. And it's become so complicated to be alive for the regular everyday person. And it doesn't have to be this way. This is all manufactured. If you take a look at my job hunting video, I talk extensively about how the billionaire class, about how the ruling class, the authoritarian class, has constructed a society that serves them, but it's so stupid on their end because it's short-sighted. They think that everybody agrees to make them happy and rich and support them. And so far, the USA Collective has done a damn fine job of persuading them that that's the case. So this is going to be a rude awakening for everybody involved who was asleep before all of this. This is going to be a powerful, rude awakening. Powerful. But if you've been awake for a number of years, if you've been watching the puppet strings, so to speak, then this won't be surprising to you at all, but this will still be painful. You still have a heart. More page. I'm getting from Spirit that the reading should end here. I've pulled 12 cards. 4 by 3. This is the last one. Page of Arrows. The Wren. Very, very tiny. Once again, a very tiny bird, but also heralds the beginning of spring, the start of something new, the beginning of yet another cycle. Something is thawing and it's giving way to a new landscape. I always butcher this particular saying, but there's an old saying where a man may cross a river multiple times every day, multiple days in a row. But every time that the man crosses the river, he's not the same man, and that's not the same river. And I'm kind of getting that energy here. Humanity has been here before. What's going on here with the United States Collective has happened before, so draw upon that old world energy. Your deities, your spirit guides, your ancestors absolutely can help you out there. Promise. You need to get in touch with them while you are in your shrine of healing or whatever it was in Breath of the Wild. A spiritual retreat for yourself. So, do pay close attention to the news. Someone that I've got in my life talks about reading the news for no more than 15 minutes a day, and then they turn it off. That's a hard line. They don't watch it or read any more news after that. And sometimes if they don't want to see the news, they don't watch at all. They just do stuff that makes them feel relaxed. Okay? Absolutely. Do that for yourself. And in fact, this is indicating that you need to take an extended break. Pay attention, but pay attention. Give the vast majority of your energy to your spiritual path now. Take it seriously now. What's going on this month is going to force you to confront a reality that quite possibly hasn't fully set in. For me, it kind of set in with Canada, and now I'm back to that stage of, yeah, okay, what other bad shit's going to happen today? There will likely come a point where I have another moment alongside that understanding that Canada had kind of left the United States, had left the United States. Everybody needs their shrine moment, and it's going to be a different length of time for everybody. For some people, it'll be years. For other people, it'll be a few weeks or days or hours. It's going to be different for everybody. But you need that time, a spiritual retreat, so that you can pay close attention to your path. It starts now. Things get rough now. Page of Arrows, Ren, a new cycle starts, a new way of thinking starts. We're going to have to think a new way. Spend money different ways, act in different ways. We had 3 different pages in this particular reading. We can't get away from the reality anymore. If people were avoiding this before, they're not going to be able to afford to do so anymore. And I'm thinking of some specific people in my life. It's going to be rough on a lot of people who've been avoiding this. Kind of getting that Capricorn, Virgo, Taurus energy, quite possibly. If you have that earth energy in your birth chart, there may be a part of you that is resistant, that is even a little bit stubborn or obstinate. As long as you don't stay stagnant there, it's okay. When things really start to get tough, when a moment bowls you over, let it happen. Ground yourself, because earth sign, that's what you're best at doing. But don't forget to help ground others as best as you can. Peace is going to be the name of the game right here, but it's also about, I'm getting specifically millennials have been shouldered with the responsibility of bringing about the society that they wish to see. Gen Z and Gen Alpha are part of it too. But this is, I feel, really rests mainly on the shoulders of millennials, as if millennials didn't have enough going on with them. Okay. And that may be because Pluto in Scorpio was a powerful force of change for a lot of millennials, as well as Pluto in Sagittarius. We had those 2 very powerful Pluto transits. And it makes sense that those individuals be the ones to carry society on its backs to a new way of doing things, of giving people the idea of home. Okay. I'm going to end the reading here. I feel like I'm starting to repeat myself. If you want to discuss this reading in the comments, I would love to discuss it with you. Okay. This is a heavy month. If you feel like reaching out, I would love to discuss things with you. Okay. Please take care of yourself. I hope you have a great rest of your day.